Hey, Ocklawahaboy Rocks here. It's Thunderegg Thursday, and I am super excited to start finally editing some video from this past February. If you watched my video where I talked about this book, you probably gathered that I went to the Wiley Wells Hauser Geode Bed area. Geode bed, Thunderegg beds. So really bucket list trip. Anybody that's into Thundereggs, if you're on any of the Thunderegg groups on Facebook, most of those people who post a lot and collect Thundereggs, most of them have been there. Well, I hadn't been, but I have now. So they call it, the Hauser Geode beds or the Wiley's Well area. It's a monstrous area. If you haven't watched the video where I pull up some of the maps on the book, watch it. It's not a very long video. Lots of different types of Thundereggs and beds to dig, but the one I'm going to show you today I thought was the coolest because there was no digging. But it's not just my laziness that made me think it was cool. When you read the historical accounts of this area, it got famous because the Thundereggs were laying all over the place. People could just go pick them up, and when they picked them all up out of one area, they just moved to another area. And then everyone thought they were all gone, and someone realized, hey, we can probably just dig for them. So they started digging for them. Then there was another period of time where people thought it was dug out, and they found other beds or dug deeper or whatever. And you can still go fill up buckets full out there today. But this area, there was no digging. We're going to look at some of these up closer. This Thunderegg is not dirty. This Thunderegg, if you've been out west, been to any of the slick rock areas, any of the desert areas, you know what desert varnish is. This Thunderegg's got desert varnish on it. So you can tell this side was down, that side was up, laying on the ground. So I'm going to, didn't shoot a lot of video out there. It was really windy, a little bit rainy, a little bit cold. So I'm going to take you out there, let you see the area, and then we're going to take a closer look at some of these eggs that I found, and maybe some of the other material. Maybe I'll save some of that for another video, but we'll kind of look at some of that and see what's in a Thunderegg that's been sitting on the surface for who knows how many hundreds or thousands of years. So let's get out to Southern California. Now I decided to mostly dub this because the wind was so bad. I've got it pretty much quieted in the background and you can still hear it. So there's lots of little Thundereggs in here. Sometimes these areas are referred to as desert pavement. You can kind of see why with all the desert varnish on the rocks. It looks a lot like just broken up pavement might on a highway. I'm just looking through here, and there's a lot of broken up Thundereggs. The site, I think, is listed in some of the guides as having porcelain jasper or bacon jasper, so people come out with hammers and just bust these things all up. Plus, even though it's a Southern California desert, it gets below freezing quite a bit in the winter time, and the rocks are right out there on the surface for weathering. You'll see the underneath, it looks a lot different than the top that has that desert varnish on it. So I think they're pretty neat. There's another little whole egg that went in the bag. So I'm just going to walk around and see what I can find here in this desert pavement area, and you'll get to hear the wind a little better coming up in a few seconds in some of the clips that I tried to record live audio for you. Okay, I hadn't disturbed any of this, so let's take a look. There's a whole Thunderegg. That's a whole Thunderegg. Piece of one, maybe a whole one. There's a double. It's one with crystals. There's one. There's a little one. There's one worth facing. Awfully light to have much in it, but in the bag it goes. So people bust rock and get jasper, and this is their leavings. So I'll pick up a few pieces, take it home, see what it's like. Okay, so here's the eggs I brought back from what we called the Walkabout Bed. Here's a busted open one. Alright, give you an idea. Here's another half one. Now, that one, I'm not even going to try and cut and polish because I think it's just so cool that you can see the inside of the egg, but the face of it's still got the desert varnish on it. Some of these do have some dirt on them. Yeah, so you can see right where that was sitting in the dirt. That might make a good face cut. A few of these are whole. Most of the whole ones are pretty light, so I don't know if there's going to be a lot in them. Like that one, you would expect that broken area to show some agate or chalcedony, but there's nothing showing. But I'm going to pick a few of these. I'm definitely not going to cut all of them because, I don't know, there's just something really cool about a whole egg that was laying out, just laying in the desert for the taking. Oh, I'll show you this real quick too. This is a piece of one. Alright, I'll pick a few and get to the saw. Now this is the first egg I want to show you. This was the broken one. I tried to cut it down the middle and it hit a fracture running along and just really kind of wrecked it. So I tried to take a little bit more off on the saw handheld, but it's still not that great. But I think it's a, you know, kind of a pretty egg. This side's a little more cracked up than this side. So I'm going to take it into the cab wheel with like a 60 grit and see if I can smooth some of this down and maybe work it to where I could, yeah, maybe even cut that end off and it could stand up. Alrighty, here's the rest of these eggs. These are unpolished. So I said these little ones probably weren't going to have much in them. I was right. But, yeah, that isn't bad. And when you look at that up close, there's a little fortification agate around the edges there. So, no, not too bad. I'm not real disappointed. And I've got this one. This was another broken egg. And it's got another big fracture in it. And here we're getting a little better. That egg looks pretty solid. The agate's got, you know, some fortification maybe. Almost had a crystal pocket right there by my thumb. I like that one. And then got this one. It's probably got the best agate here around the edges. And it's, yeah, pretty well filled egg. And then here's what I ended up with out of that broken one that I showed you. I could spend a whole lot more time trying to sand it and end up with a flat face, but I think it can sit somewhere, get in a little more light, and sit somewhere just like that, and I'll be happy enough with it. Oh, still have all those eggs whole, or as whole as they're ever going to be again. Those'll stay for another day. All right, that was the Walkabout Bed at the Hauser Geode Beds area. There's going to be a lot more content from the Hauser Thunderegg areas. I went to a lot of different areas. I was out there about 4 days. The wind was really darn bad, so that got in the way of me shooting as much content as I'd like. But it was hopefully not a once-in-a-lifetime trip, but if it was well worth it. So I will see you next Thunderegg Thursday.